Hi guys, hi, I'm Steve Hui. I'm the CEO of I Fly Flat, and you might have known me and seen me around the place. It's the Points Whisperer. I'm here with my friend Lockie, and here
Hey.
I'm just, hey Lockie. Lockie is based in Brisbane. I'm based in Sydney. And I guess in this pandemic, anyone could be based anywhere. So that's why we're running this whole bunch of Zoom Q&As, I call them, because constantly I get asked questions by email, by phone, or by journalists. What I think about this, what I think about that. And rather than just answering one person, I thought it's pretty cool. Why don't we just answer the question? So in the past week, we got a whole bunch of questions that people have asked. And I thought, let's run a show. Let's run a show, have some fun, and answer those questions that been on your minds. And also you might drum up new questions along the way.
Let's do it. And happy first day of spring, Steve. 1st of September.
Yeah. First day of spring. I got up early to watch sunrise because I reckon sunrise for the first day of spring is a special occasion. And I wish everyone just renewed optimism, because spring means growth, opportunity. Also means hopefully heaps of laugh and happiness from here on onwards, and a change will begin.
Yeah, cheers to
Let's talk about travel.
All right, so we got some questions here from the community. Let's just dig into it, hey? So we got Louisa asks, I've been hearing a lot in the media about these travel bubbles. When do you think travel will open for the Asia Pacific and New Zealand region? And how quickly could we see a return to other regions such as the UAE or Europe?
Yeah. So there was lots of talk about a travel bubble to New Zealand. And even, say, a month ago, it was really very intimate. And I think the governments for both sides has agreed that there will be a travel bubble. But as you know, recently there's been sort of an outbreak in New Zealand and in Victoria, as we know, and that had just put a halt on everything. So you don't hear much about the New Zealand travel bubble yet, but I believe by Christmas will be in place. So I think governments are just working out, well, what should we do? Because a lot of the sources of infection are coming from overseas. So if you have this travel bubble, then does that mean that it opens up the country to brand new sources? And obviously a travel bubble can occur with a quarantine. A 14-day hotel quarantine does not make a good travel bubble. But I think by Christmas, the Australian domestic borders will be open. The travel bubble to New Zealand will be open. And maybe even some of these things, they call them green corridors to Singapore and maybe a couple of Pacific countries. Yeah, Christmas is the key, I think.
It's interesting because I guess you have to go hand in hand with the hotel quarantine program, to accept people back. We have the caps at the moment, which is preventing some people coming back, which I think is another question coming up. You have to have that hotel quarantine program up and running as well to be able to take the people back when they come back from their trip as well.
I think there's many parts of the puzzle. So it's not just about having two countries agreeing to have a bubble. Both countries have to have very similar quarantine rules or processes. And also one country like Australia, we have the international travel ban at the moment, which is getting much more media play. We have to be able to relax that before we let our citizens out. And exactly like you said, what if they want to come back? Does that mean what type of procedures are coming back as well? So I think most people, actually no one has any idea. There's probably like 4 or 5 pieces of the puzzle that needs to be worked out first.
Well, hopefully we come to some more answers soon. There's plenty of unknown stuff going on, but it's good to just stick to what we know for now. Jake asks, is it best to hold on to my Qantas points for future flights, or should I use them now on hotels and other sort of items in the short term, like wine or gift cards?
Yeah, that's actually a really common question. And I say that there's 2 factors to this. Number one is depends how many points you've got. So the overall basis, using points for international travel, and especially business class, is the highest value of all. So every single point is worth about 4 cents. But if you use your points for a gift card or a hotel, you're getting only between half a cent to 1 cent per point. So as you see, compared to 4 cents to 1 cent, the quarter of the value. So when I ask a question, or when I hear this question asked to me, first was how many points do you have? Because you really want to have enough points that you can fly in the future. So don't waste those points. So if you've only got, say, 500,000 points, that's enough for 2 business class return flights. And you have aspirations to fly to Europe maybe in the next 2 years, I would say preserve those points because you will use them for the highest value. But if you've got, like, say, 2 or 3 million points, then you got heaps and heaps of points. And if you've got 2 or 3 million points now, chances are you're probably still earning more points. So then you can then start looking at using them for hotels or gift cards or wine and stuff like that. But just know that you're not going to get the best value from them. It might scratch an itch. I know a lot of people, they got these points and they just want to use them. But I say better to be patient because when you do use them in say next year after, you appreciate that you got the points, because otherwise international fares could be, say, business class, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000, $12,000, and then you would have wished you never cashed them out for, JB Hi-Fi voucher or something.
Yeah, because
or vacuum cleaner.
There's always some items, like I know I've scratched an itch with a Qantas custom Bellroy wallet. Every now and then these little things come across in the store, and it's so tempting to spend my Qantas points on that or Amex points or something else. Qantas wine's another one. But yeah, nothing compares to flying international. And I was just looking back at some travel photos the other day of my wife and I heading over in Singapore business class over to China, and nothing compares to business class. But
that's the goal. So it's all about scratching your itch. I think number one is to recognize that it's because you've been trapped and you want to go somewhere. But just because you got the points, a bit like just because you got the money, doesn't mean you have to spend it.
Yeah, true. Actually, speaking of points around using them, Karen asks, what should I do with my velocity points? Will they fly internationally again? Because we saw them pull back on the international front. Do you think they're going to kickstart that again in the future, or will Velocity just sort of be more so a domestic airline for the next kind of year, and should we use our points for that?
Yeah, tough question. I think with Velocity, the new owners, Bain, has said that they'll honour them, but the international routes will be very limited. So Los Angeles will resume. Obviously, when you can fly to US, and I've heard that they're going to keep Japan. I'm not sure how long they'll keep Japan for, because that's a brand new route, obviously with the Olympics and stuff. But I reckon they kept it because they had invested so much. They've probably got some commitments on that route. They turned off Hong Kong. I reckon Los Angeles is probably the only international route that's profitable they'll keep. Maybe to some Pacific island countries as well, Fiji, Vanuatu. But yeah, so I think for Virgin Velocity points, domestic is where you'll be using them.
Yeah.
That's it. They will be preserved, but yeah, use them first. If you're going to fly anywhere, use the Virgin points, fly domestic before you use your Qantas points and anyone else's points.
Well, Virgin are great for domestic. I've noticed when I'm always tossing up between Qantas and Virgin, there's usually heaps more seats on Virgin, and the taxes are slightly lower as well, and less points generally. So, it's very, very close, very similar to Qantas. Yeah.
I think Virgin, the Velocity program is not down and out. It's just right now, obviously, they've got brand new ownership coming in, and the Velocity frequent flyer program, just like Qantas one, is super valuable. So they'll be looking to reboot that and add some value in. And they're going to have a new team in Velocity as well, because there's no CEO there right now. So the new CEO will come in and add new ideas. So keep your eye on that. I think there's still going to be value. Just right now you can't see because they're too busy working out the ownership and the creditors vote that's occurring, I think, next week or Thursday or this Thursday, something like that. And then we have a clearer future of what Virgin look like.
There you go, Karen. Hang on to the points. Use them for the next domestic trip, maybe a trip down to Tassie or Perth. Jeffrey asks, everyone will want to fly business class when travel resumes. You hear to that? But this will mean that airlines will limit points bookings further, making it harder to find seats. What do you think about that? So,
yeah, I guess if I was operating an airline, number one thing I want is to sell seats for money, because right now they've been killed, right? They've been making massive losses. So therefore they've got to make the money back. So that'll be the number one key. And that's fair. They're running a business. But what they don't want to do, don't want to discount. And don't want to teach people that if you wait until 1 or 2 weeks before departure, that you're going to get a cheap fare, because then that will teach everyone not to book in advance. So I think where the point seats might come up is, say it's like $9,000 to fly business class to Europe. They're going to try and maintain that price point throughout the whole time. And then if there's seats towards the end, maybe 2, 3, 4 weeks, then I reckon they'll offer that to point seats, because so therefore they still want to fill the seats. They still want to create an ecosystem that you can earn and use the points, but they don't want to cut the price. So if you've got the points, and I guess that comes to the first question, if you've got the points, you'll be able to play. If you don't have the points, then I don't think there'll be any discounts. But it just doesn't make sense for a company to discount their product and teach people a new way of booking flights.
Yeah, that's good. There you go, Jeffrey. So get your points ready and be prepared.
This is the best time to save your points, because I believe the whole points ecosystem will still be very much valuable. And the whole idea of the points ecosystem is the companies, the frequent flyer programs and airlines, they make a lot of money by selling their points. And in order to continue the money-making machine to sell points, they're going to let you know that there's value in redeeming them. And how are they going to offer value? Because it's a whole cycle. Because once they get rid of the value, then there'll be no demand for points. They can't sell them anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
So I believe there will be value, and they'll make value, and they'll create value out of them.
Yeah, that's good. Last question. This is from someone trying to get home. Levi asks, can I use points to fly to Australia? Are the government caps on inbound arrivals affecting points bookings, say for business class? We've seen stories where people have booked an economy ticket and the airline said, well, to confirm this ticket, you need to upgrade to a business class. This will cost $8,000. But can they use points to book that flight instead?
Yeah. I wouldn't risk it, only because if people in our economy, so these capacities are about, so every different state in Australia has different capacities. I think New South Wales is taking about 450 per week. Some states are only taking like 450 per day. Some states are only taking about 500 per week. So, wow. So therefore some planes are landing with only 50 passengers. So when economy tickets get cancelled, that means that they made that 50 seats on that plane available to someone in business class, which I guess it seems very much unfair, because you've got a book ticket, but then to the airline, they're running this entire plane with 50 passengers, and you got to think, well, they're going to try and make their money back. So it's a very tough decision. But to answer your question directly is that, yeah, if you were trying to book a points ticket, even on business class, number one, I don't think there'll be any availability. They would have turned it off. But if there was, you'd probably be the first to get bumped. Yeah. And it'd be very hard to find a recourse. In the past, points tickets and cash tickets were the same. That if you got bumped due to bad weather or cancellation, the airline will put you on another flight. But because this situation is so crazy, the airline might just say, here's your points back. Like, we can't help you. And that's the worst position. Yeah, so unfortunately, points don't work. I think you can points to leave Australia. I've seen point seats departing Australia because there's no capacity caps. Yeah. It's only the exemption from the travel ban. But coming in, there's a cap.
Yeah, okay. So
too risky.
Hopefully the caps get removed soon, and we'll kick back this travel. So I guess wrapping up, what's your advice for, thinking about 2021, 2022? I know I've been thinking about our travel plans, and I know lots of people have been, messaging us at iFlyFlat about, should I book 2021 now or should I wait for next year? What's your thoughts there? Like, what should we be doing with our points? Should we be saving them or getting ready, or looking out for certain deals? Or
not so much a deal. So the number one key thing is we've got to see when this international travel ban gets lifted, because no one's trying to plan something that doesn't eventuate or hope that doesn't get cancelled. So I think that the number one key factor is some announcement or some indication of when the international travel ban will be lifted. Up until the end, we can't do anything. So once that gets lifted, I guess the key thing is everyone, that you will travel again, and that the world will return to some form of travel. And points is a currency to book travel. So now it's the right time to earn your points and get like a plan in place. Therefore, every dollar you're spending, especially if you're running a business, every dollar you're spending, you're earning points. So you build it like a nest egg, so to speak, and they can use those points for future travel, be it 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Just you're building these points. Most of the time, these points don't cost hardly any money to accrue. So I'll be saving my points, and then I actually like Ricardo. I was in a video podcast with Ricardo from SBS not long ago. I was talking to him saying that this is time to save the points, and then start planning. I say if you plan for something 2 years in the future, it's pretty sure that you'll be going. So I think this is the time to dream a bit. If you want to go to Europe, think about going to Europe and just start planning from July 2021 onwards. But I wouldn't plan anything up to July.
Yeah.
From July onwards, I think there's a high likelihood that you could go. And then,
Asia, or I guess New Zealand and maybe Fiji and stuff. End of year, early next year. But Europe, America, the rest of the world, July 2021 onwards.
Yeah, there will be some process and sort of things to go through. You might have to fill out forms. You might need to take tests and things like that. So travel wouldn't be as smooth as it has been in the past. But I believe from July onwards, the ban will be lifted and you'll be free to go if you want to. And then next it comes down to price. Next it comes down to whether you want hassles. And then all that stuff is everyone's learning how that works.
Yeah. Well, one thing we can count on is things change quickly. And, we've seen, I was just thinking about today how, all of a sudden we couldn't get a hold of masks, and now there's masks everywhere in the store. We're making them in Australia. And I was thinking about how quickly we can evolve with technology. So it'll be interesting to see what happens between now and Christmas as well, and what we're looking at for 2021 again. So,
that's a really good point, because we as humans and people, we can adapt so quickly.
Yeah.
So even though we can adapt very quickly, but we're not very good at projections. So we might think, this will keep going like this for a long, long time. But if you think about how much money and investment and the best know-how is now investigating a solution to this virus, that the solution will come faster than we think. It's not just like because we're not getting a vaccine now, we're not going to get a vaccine for a while. I think there's going to be a lot of vaccine or other bits and pieces that will help us resume normal quicker. It will accelerate because all that knowledge gets built on top of each other.
Yeah, there was a feature in the Fin on the weekend about all the different types of other drugs they can use to help with the process of healing. And so even if the vaccine doesn't come straight away, they're building up lots of other sort of tools that we can use along the way to help, and also to monitor the virus, and digital technologies around tracking where people are and the virus as it spreads, and so containing that. So
that's why spring. That's why I'm sort of excited about spring, because I think whenever there's a new season, just like say New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, it's completely psychological. But you celebrate the end of the year, and there's like a brand new year. So this is like a brand new season. Now I think from that, there's renewed optimism It's all takes everyone doing the right thing to make changes.
Yeah, that's good. Well, it's good to have a light note to finish on, and thanks for keeping it positive. Thanks for everyone to ask the questions: Louisa, Jake, Karen, Jeffrey, Levi, and I guess if you have questions, send it in to us. Ask Steve at iflyflat.com.au, or I guess we can find you on Facebook and Instagram and ask your questions there. And
Instagram, LinkedIn, ask the questions, and we'll answer your questions on a next show, and we might even get you on board.
Yeah, sounds good.
So we can work the technology.
Awesome, mate. Well, thanks for chatting today.
Cool, thank you, Lockie.
And we'll see you soon.
Pleasure, yeah. See you, everyone. Have a good day. Bye-bye.